So Russell Westbrook has decided to sign with the Los Angeles Clippers after buying out with the Utah Jazz. So I see this as a huge upgrade for this Clippers team, as they desperately need a point guard like Russ, someone that can run the offense and even be a spark plug off the bench, someone that's going to be holding their guys accountable. And just being that locker room guy that can just basically hype up the team and just have good team chemistry overall. So he basically provides a lot to this team that they need, and he already has chemistry with PG back in the OKC days. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about the signing and why this boosted the Clippers' chances to win the chip this year. So Westbrook, over the season, he's averaging around 16 points per game, around 6 rebounds, and around 7.5 assists on 41, 30, and 66 shooting splits. So looking at a glance, his stats, you can tell, are fairly underwhelming considering that he's a former MVP. But, I mean, this season alone, he managed to save himself from fizzling out of the league. He basically carved out a six-man type of role on the Lakers, and that really helped them win games when they really needed a spark plug off the bench. And even looking at it, before he was starting with the Lakers like a couple seasons ago, he was actually not too bad. So Westbrook coming into a system, he already has two superstars on the team in Kawhi and PG, which is good because, the scoring payload or even the scoring load is going to be more on their shoulders compared to Russ. So all he really has to do is facilitate the offense and just be a guy that can involve everyone in the offense overall. So his role is kind of hard to determine as, they acquired Bones Highland at the trade deadline. So he's a guy that has a high ceiling and is young, and they could look to develop him as the starting point guard for this team. So if they do decide to offer Bones in the starting lineup, I mean, you're losing out on some defense because Russell Westbrook as a defensive guard is actually pretty good. You miss out on some rebounding, and overall, you're missing out on a guy that can facilitate the offense. But if you start Westbrook over Bones, I mean, you're getting a guy that can rebound the ball, facilitate the offense, rebounding, even just assists, and overall a guy that is pretty much proven at this point in his career. So off the bench, you get a scoring plug off the bench who can run the second unit when PG and Kawhi sit, which might be where he should be best utilized. I mean, a guy that can run the second unit with guys like Eric Gordon, Mason Plumlee, I mean, all those guys. I mean, I think it would be better suited for Westbrook to run the second unit with guys like that, because, I mean, with the starting five in PG and Kawhi, they're pretty much set with what they have. I mean, they got Zubac in the lineup. I think Bones is still, even Bones or Terrence Mann, I can't remember which one. I think Terrence Mann is starting at the point guard, but regardless, either one in the starting point guard, and even guys like Norman Powell off the bench whenever he comes back. I think this team is definitely well-rounded with what they have, and adding Westbrook to this team definitely, I would say definitely levels out a lot of their holes that they need to fix. So there are some downsides to his game, though. I mean, he's a very inefficient scorer that can barely shoot the three and has a mediocre field goal percentage. I will say his three ball this season is definitely a bit better compared to previous seasons, but definitely dipped down as of late whenever he played. So, I mean, that tells you something. Westbrook isn't really a consistent shooter at all. Basically a very streaky shooter. Some games he'll be shooting the lights out of the ball. Some games he won't. I mean, the last game with the Los Angeles Lakers, he had 27, 4, and 8 with 53 from the field and 57 from three. So if we can get a Russ like this on the Clippers, I mean, this is pretty good for them. I mean, a guy that can score the ball, assist, rebounds, playing some great defense. I mean, that's really what they want from Westbrook overall. A guy that's not going to be basically, I wouldn't say I would say a guy that wouldn't be playing iso ball, but a guy that can move the ball, and someone that's going to be basically just being the facilitator. So Westbrook also down in the stretch is pretty questionable. Sometimes you'll get vintage Russ in the clutch, and sometimes you'll get current day Russ, which is basically a night and day difference. I mean, looking at some games previously, that game against OKC down in the stretch, he was clutch. And then the game before that, New Orleans, I mean, he was pretty mediocre. And there's a lot of games like that this season with the Lakers where he either fizzled out or he actually helped them win the game. So if we can get a guy, or if we can get a Westbrook that can help them win down in the stretch, I think that would be pretty optimal for this team. So overall, I think the Russ signing was a huge W for the Clippers, as they get a proven point guard in Russ that can run the offense and can facilitate. Come playoff time, this team is looking deadlier by the minute with each and every addition. I mean, all three additions of Bones, Eric Gordon, and Mason Plumlee were all great additions. If you guys want to check out the video I made on that, it's on the channel. But adding in a guy like a Russell Westbrook, I mean, that's another level essentially. So we'll see what happens. I think the Clippers, they're still one of my favorites, or one of my dark horse favorites to make it to the finals this year. we have a couple games left, around 20 games left. So we are in the All-Star weekend break. So I think we'll see what happens come the first game for this Clippers team. I'm definitely going to be able to watch it. This team is definitely getting more exciting. And, with Kawhi getting back into the swing of things and PG, being basically their number one guy as of right now, I think this team is definitely set to win the chip this year. So we'll see what happens. That's the end. I'm out.